What about if you decide that you're going to go to the March for Life next year, and you're going to march and March for Life, and you want to share photos on Facebook of you and your family or you and your friends at March for Life? And then what happens if there's someone on the left, and we already know that Facebook has to a certain extent done this in terms of suppressing conservative content. It's not as bad as Twitter, but it still exists. And it's not as bad as Twitter in terms of removing political ads, because this is why Warren's mad at him, which is I'm going to get to. But can you imagine if you go to March for Life and you post a video up with you and your family or your friends, and then someone decides that that is disinformation because you are saying that you're denying abortion and you're giving out statistics about abortion, either in your video or maybe you just mention it in the post. Someone could classify that as disinformation, and that's removed. And then maybe you could be you could be held liable for that. You could actually be prosecuted. Now, she doesn't define disinformation, but we know how it's been previously defined. What about man-made global warming? I mean, for crying out loud. There's two things that the left has done with speech. They've tried to redefine speech with which they disagree with as being the same as physical violence. They've tried to state that speech with which they disagree is the same thing as physical violence so that they can justify their violent reaction against speech with which they disagree. This is how the resistance defines it. But also to them, truth is entirely subjective. Science is entirely subjective. So how are you going to lay down limitations on disinformation or even so much as define it when truth is subjective to you? And how does that reconcile with First Amendment protections? Now, all of this came up because Elizabeth Warren's mad, along with a lot of other Democrats, at Facebook. Because Facebook they said no, they would not relent to the Democrat demands of removing political ads from Facebook. Now, this is a business, people. Facebook, you can purchase. I've never done this on Facebook. I know it's there. I know you can purchase views even for your videos. I've never done that. I know that there are people who do. I'm not begrudging them because it's a business. I'm a capitalist. Go on. The Trump campaign was incredibly successful in leveraging the Facebook audience and then also taking advantage of the business opportunities that Facebook affords to everyone. Every single person can engage in that sort of free market transaction with Facebook, and you can leverage your content and reach a wider audience that way. And the Trump campaign was incredibly successful at doing this. And that's what made Democrats mad. That is why they have hit Facebook harder than everyone else, than Instagram, than Twitter, than anyone. And Mark Zuckerberg, well, he's a capitalist. And he's like, no, I'm not removing political ads because people like Elizabeth Warren and other Democrats think that Americans are too stupid. Well, I don't know where to vote. Somebody called and told me I could vote on a text. And then they said if I wired $100,000 to them, they could come over here and start their own business. No, it's not how this works. No, it's a lack of trust. It's not, well, they want to control you. It's not even, they just think that you don't know what's best for yourself. And Facebook already does that to an extent too. It's annoying because I've had friends who have written editorials on stuff and that was considered fake news. What was it? Keira Davis had a piece. It was considered fake news. She shared the screenshot. She couldn't even access it anymore. It was considered fake news. So this already happens. She wants the government to have access to all of this. Now, here's what I added on this. They said the biggest source of misinformation, because Elizabeth Warren said that she's not going to allow anybody to go and then say false things about her or other Democrats during the campaign cycle. But the biggest source of misinformation on Elizabeth Warren is Elizabeth Warren. That's the thing. Whether it's lying about her non-existent Native American ancestry, whether she's bizarrely lying about being the first breastfeeding mother to take the New Jersey bar, in which they actually came out and said, we literally don't track this. That's why would you do that? Or when she lied about sending her kids to public school, she is literally the biggest source of disinformation about herself.